One of the things he said to law enforcement is he said, this has been going on for 4 years. He said, this is tough. He said, so this has been going on for 4 years. He said, I know my dad's not a bad person. It's like, I don't understand why he's been doing this to me. He's like, but I knew one day it would stop.
I'm Steve Murphy, DEA Special Agent retired and now host of the Game of Crimes podcast. If you've seen the Netflix series Narcos, then you know my story. I now bring you stories of heroism and bravery from our law enforcement and military heroes, and occasionally from the criminals that they faced. Welcome to Game of Crimes. Hey there. Welcome back to part 2 of this week's episode of Game of Crimes with Murph in the Morning. We're talking to Mr. Chad Meli. As you heard yesterday and you heard on Tyler Schwab's interview here a couple of weeks ago, January every year is National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And that's why I have these guys on here. 2 of the episodes out of this month of 4 episodes focus on anti-human trafficking. And guess what? Last year in January, these same 2 guys are on here. That's how important this is. And if you listen to Tyler, his episode 2 weeks ago was his 4th time here on the Game of Crimes. I'm going to continue to bring people back to talk about this. We've had people come in from Aerial Recovery based out of Nashville, Tennessee to talk. We had the founder and her husband both on separate episodes. Another list of just other people along the way over the years here. We're into our 5th year here on Game of Crimes. We had Natasha Herzig, who was a victim of human trafficking when she was 19 years old out of San Jose, California. I've had her on a second show last year in May. Well, I think it did come out to August, but she actually works for an organization now that provides assistance to victims of human trafficking, especially sex trafficking, once they've been rescued. Sherry Foster, who was a former Georgia Bureau of Investigation agent and a DEA agent, went to work for the U.S. Attorney's Office as a victim advocate and did her part to fight human trafficking. We've had Tricia Cannon from Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Ty Holland, former Seattle cop, Seth Griffith and his wife Jenna Griffith, who are affiliated with Aerial Recovery, Heidi Chance, former Phoenix police officer. And I'm going to keep bringing folks on here so we can get the word out. Don't just listen to what we're saying and what the guest says on these shows. Take the initiative to teach your family, to strike up a conversation with your friends when you're out having a cold drink. What we're doing is not working. The problem is growing bigger and bigger every year. So, and you've got these heroes out here that are dedicating their lives to try to help these victims, many times at the expense of their own lives. In Tyler Schwab's case, he's under death threats. He can't even go back to Colombia. And that's where his office is. So, but he's still doing his part. He's helping victims. They're actually prosecuting cases here in the United States now. He's continued to fundraise. And if you're looking for something to donate money to, what better cause than helping your fellow man? No higher calling, everybody. That's the way it is. So, Chad, welcome back, brother.
Thank you, sir.
We kind of left things on a dark note yesterday.
I wish I could come on and just tell good news stories.
Well, you know what? The end of that story was you rescued those 2 girls from their dad. And are they with their mom now, or where'd they end up?
They are with their mom. Yeah.
Was she aware of any of that?
No, not that we know of. There was a home study done, and with aftercare support after the arrest and after the rescue to make sure it's a suitable place, and it's determined by multiple agencies that that was the best place for the kids. So I'm assuming I wasn't a part of that. I'm assuming had there been any indication she was, they would have been placed with her. So last report I heard they were doing okay. Obviously, there's going to be lingering issues there and mental health issues and things that need to be addressed and medical issues. But those are being addressed, and they're in a lot better place clearly than they were.
Is the International Protection Alliance, do you have associates that provide support to victims after their rescues?
We do, yeah. We have a social worker. We work with local governments as well, local shelters, and kind of anytime we are involved in a rescue or support an investigation that results in a rescue, we have a team assigned to those children after the fact. We'll hire the lawyers if they're going to be part of the prosecution just to represent them throughout that process. Obviously, the social workers work with them, make sure they get the mental health, the medical that they need, provide transportation, for court and medical treatments and all that. So yeah, it's a huge part of what we do.
So actually, there was a bright spot to the end of yesterday's episode. I just didn't think to answer the stupid question. Ask the question, right? And ask the right question. So that's good. So we start off on a good foot here today. But I got to tell you, that mission, the steps that you guys went to, you used every piece of technical equipment you could get your hands on, everything, I guess, short of a wiretap. Did they do a wiretap?
No wiretap, just the poll cam. And then, the UC work, online UC work, and then, the field work, the surveillance team, and then, the face-to-face UC work done by the local team as well, portraying that modeling agency.
As you were telling the story yesterday, I'm thinking the first thing that came to my mind is Mission Impossible. How are they going to get this guy?
Yeah, I know, right? You're ready to somebody take off the mask at the end.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty cool, too, that the surveillance guy was 2 floors up in the mall with his...
It's one of the best. It's one of the best videos taken. And I've been doing this for a long time, and for him to just be in that position, it always works out that way. It's either a little bit of skill and a lot of luck, and I'm sure that was the case in that incident. But hey, we'll take it. It was great. It was critical evidence that was needed.
Yeah, kudos to that young man for taking the initiative to get that position where he was able to collect the evidence exactly what you guys needed, because that led to the search warrant, right?
Yep, that's it. That was the final nail. We had to get that proven, or so it wasn't going to happen.
So has this pervert dad, has he been adjudicated yet, or is it still pending?
50 years. We got 50 years. He's in his late 50s, I think. I got to see him in court. I went to court. Was there to testify against him. Actually started to testify against him. Gave maybe an hour or two bit of testimony in court. Then they took a break, and he decided at the end of that, after that was enough. He was going to plead guilty, and didn't help him. After that,
good job.
The victim disclosure statements were read, and the judge and everybody learned all the facts. He was 50 years, and I hope he dies there. He deserves it.
Now, so over there, is 50 years, is he going to do 50 years, or is it like here in the United States where you do 5 and get out?
Yeah, no, there's no, I mean, there are occasions where people are let out early. These types of cases is pretty rare.
I would think. I mean, it sounds like they really, really take these cases serious.
Very reactive. And again, these are Thai victims. I've worked cases where they're foreign victims, Western victims, local offenders, Western offenders. It doesn't matter. They're very, very reactive. Very reactive.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one thing I really liked about this case is you got proactive and you got reactive. This was not a reactive case. This was a proactive case where you guys got on that chat room and started doing your job and did a hell of a job.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. And it was one of those cases that without that, it's not going to happen. These are just not cases that long. There's language issues there. There's translation issues. There's cultural issues there. For them to find that case and recognize that tie tenant up to be what we suspected it to be, and then take the time to place accounts in there and just monitor behavior for a few days. It's just not something generally law enforcement's able to do. They're too busy being reactive. So that's one of the things I think, we bring to the table, IPA brings to the table, is the experience behind understanding the mindset of these offenders and, how they recruit victims. And it's a good lesson learned here. I mean, this guy was doing this to his daughters, but it's not always that case. Sometimes it's somebody and they're recruiting strangers. And how do they do that? They do it through child modeling. And one of the things I constantly preach and I tell parents is, anytime somebody comes to you, I don't care what it is, if they come to you and say, "Hey, your son is the next Brett Favre. I mean, he's got a fantastic arm. He's going to be a great quarterback. I know he's only 12, but we got to spend time with him. We got to work with him." Or it's modeling, or dancing, or skiing, whatever it is. If an adult comes to you and says that they want exclusive access with your child, red flags should go up. But parents are most of the time their pride gets in the way. It's like, oh, my son's going to be he's going to be in the NFL, and they get focused on that. And it's okay to get focused on that. You should be proud of your kids, especially if they have abilities that can be groomed and help them in the future. But don't ignore those red flags. What has happened is strip all that away. What has happened is an adult has gone to another adult and said, I've noticed your child and I want to spend more time with them. And it's nothing more than that. And you should take proper precautions. You should educate your kids. You should, if you don't have the time to accompany your kid to practices or to auditions, then don't let them go. Don't let them go by themselves and have unsupervised contact with unknown or even known adults, especially adults that just randomly contact you and want access to your kids. And it happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Excellent advice. And as you're talking, I'm thinking our daughters are in their early 30s now, and both, I'm a little prejudiced because they're my daughters, but they're stunningly beautiful. And when we transferred back from South America, we got stationed in Greensboro, North Carolina. And we started getting phone calls after, I don't remember how people would have seen the girls' pictures because we weren't on social media. But anyway, they were calling, wanting to do photo shoots with our kids, our daughters, and they're past the toddler age, but I don't think they were in school yet. And you're right. Initially, you're thinking, well, we know they're beautiful. I could see her. Maybe she's going to be the next Gerber baby or whatever it might be. And thankfully, my wife she does her due diligence when it comes to our kids, and just we didn't do anything. But then our oldest daughter has always been interested in dance, and she's that kind of kid growing up. And we did enroll her. There was a dance school that's nationwide here in the United States, and I cannot think of the name of it to save my life. But every time we took her to practice, mom or dad stayed with her. And that's what requires everybody. If you're going to be a parent, be a parent. You're the first line of protection for your children. You're here. I don't have the experience that Chad hears. You're hearing it firsthand from somebody who sees this on a daily basis, how social media and the phones, we're losing children because of it. And the things that are 100%. Happening to them are atrocities.
And you just nailed it. We're losing a lot of kids. And it's through it. There's no safe place on the internet. There's no safe application. I don't care if it's Facebook, Instagram. There are offenders on there seeking out kids. They're looking to find them, to manipulate them, to lie to them. If you're in a position where your child has to go off unsupervised with an adult, a youth pastor, a coach or somebody, just be hyper aware, right? Talk to your kids, educate your kids, pay attention to how they're reacting, how they're acting. If they're on their phone a lot and you walk in and they hide their phone, these are all red flags. These are things that should set things off in parents' minds and start inquiring more. Who are your kids communicating with? And then this whole influencer stage that we're going through right now, where every kid wants to be an influencer. You have 10, 11, 12-year-old kids with thousands of followers. It's a major increased risk. Is what that is. It's a much higher risk if your kid's got thousands of followers on social media. It's impossible to vet all those people. If it's something that needs to happen, you have to be, like you said, you have to be hyper aware. You have to pay attention.
Yep. And keep in mind too that if that kid has a phone, who paid for that phone? I'm pretty sure it was you, mom and dad. So yeah, you do have a right to go look at that phone, and you have a right to take it away from them, and you have a right to turn service off. But let me tell you, kids are slick because we went through the same issues with our daughters, and it was amazing the burner phones we found. Not even knowing what a burner phone was back then.
I broke a few phones raising my kids, and they're going to be online. You can't have, if you take their phone away when they go to school, they're going to have them there. Somebody's going to let them use theirs. They're going to be online. I saw a case not too long ago. Somebody was chatting using an application on the door of the refrigerator. I mean, everything's connected nowadays. It's hard to not be online. So it's not, going offline is, I have to do a lot of these talks to parents and kids, and afterwards, a lot of them say that I'm going offline. No more Facebook, no more anything. And Okay, if that's sustainable, great. Probably much safer, but it's not sustainable. We need to face the fact kids are going to be online. We need to communicate with them. We need to teach them. They need to understand how abuse occurs, how manipulation occurs, how offenders will trick them, will pretend to be other people, will find them in moments when when they're upset, when their dog recently died, or parents are going through a divorce. Offenders are experts at finding victims during the worst times of their lives, getting in there, pretending to be a friend, pretending to be somebody they're not, manipulating them, grooming them, and convincing them to participate in the behavior. And we need to teach kids that so they can recognize it as well.
Absolutely. And just to clarify yesterday, I think I misspoke about the website. The name of the organization is International Protection Alliance, but their website is protectall.org. And you're seeing it on the screen here if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, go check it out on YouTube and hit that subscribe button for me. Another cheesy commercial. Thanks for bearing with us, everybody. And I guess let's just get into the next story, because I know Chad's got another story that's I don't know the details, but go ahead, Chad. Let me shut up here, because I'm getting ready to have my chin hit the table again.
Yeah, no, this is it's kind of a similar story. It's recent. This is so once we created IPA, we kind of left these other NGOs and started IPA. Me and the three of the guys that I was working with. This was one of our first cases. Similar case. It was an offender found through social media. It's a Facebook page. Again, there are no safe places on the internet. You don't have to go to the dark web to find or to be exploited or to find even CSAM. You can find it on the World Wide Web abundantly. This was a case of an offender on Facebook. He was making just lots of posts involving him and a young boy. It was showing photos of a young boy. The young boy, none of this was CSAM, but again, it was very inappropriate type posting, things that our investigators kind of were drawn to. Bedtime posts. Just the child laying in bed, just again normal things. But then you had thousands of followers that were responding and making inappropriate comments that were not being addressed. They were not being removed. It was clear that this guy was kind of feeding off of it. And then all of a sudden, one day, he posted a photograph of a QR code. It was only up there for a few hours. He was inviting people to a group. One of our online investigators followed the QR code, which took him to a private a group. It was a Line group. Line is similar to Kik. It's similar to WhatsApp. It's very popular in Asia, but it's just a chat platform for mobile phones. Took him to a private Line group, which was clearly a CSAM distribution group. For a small fee, you can pay. You can join the group, and then everybody who's in the group is a purported pedophile, and they all share content. Again, this is something very common. Most of law enforcement in Southeast Asia's CSAM distribution cases come from this very thing. They come from regular social media pages, and that they morph into more encrypted channels like WhatsApp or Signal, in this case, Line. So our investigators start. Obviously, it's reported to law enforcement. Law enforcement accepts the case. You have to pay. There's a payment platform to gain access to the group. Law enforcement, we report that to law enforcement. We work very closely with law enforcement. As you know, law enforcement makes that payment, and then now that group is accessed. So now our investigators, this is a CSAM distribution network. So now this is not something that we're able to do as an NGO. So now we're working with law enforcement at a law enforcement facility,
right.
Monitoring and showing law enforcement. There's clearly lots of transmissions of CSAM from everybody in the group. So law enforcement says, this looks like a good case. They start kind of assigning tasks to different people, and as per usual, we're assigned surveillance, just initial surveillance. We have the name of the offender, his address. He's got several thousand people in this group, so it's a pretty good group, pretty good sized group. He must be making quite a bit of money. So we're going to just do a little on-site surveillance and see what we can find. Team goes there. This is a very rural part of Thailand, and it is I can only describe it to you as a 2-room house made out of cinder blocks, tiny little house, no windows, just got like towels hanging in the windows, blowing in and out. Guy lives there doing surveillance. As we're doing surveillance, bus pulls up. Kids get off of the bus and are walking, and one of the boys that's seen in a lot of the footage is identified as one of the boys that gets off the bus and walks in the house. It's his son.
Jeez.
Again, very, very, very common. Large group. Most of the people in the group we're assuming are pedophiles. A lot of the content that they're submitting is it's current content. When we talk about CSAM, child sexual abuse material, it's photos and videos, right, of children. There's a huge database, hundreds of millions of files that law enforcement has seized over the course of doing these investigations. So there's a lot of already known CSAM that exists. What we're seeing here, this trend this is brand new stuff. That this is live abuse that's happening daily, that people are putting in the group and exchanging that content. So all that's reported to law enforcement. Law enforcement immediately, especially once they learn that, hey, there's a child living in the home, this is a child that's been seen in some of the CSAM, immediately go in and make the arrest. And then this was great. The reason I bring this up is just kind of show this collaboration with law enforcement. Law enforcement did their thing, served the search warrant, arrested the man that was running the group, seized all the devices, obviously rescued the son, got the son out of there. The son, I think he was or is 10 years old. He's 10 or 11, and he's as law enforcement rescues him, law enforcement's getting social workers and everything, and they start talking to him. And one of the things he said to law enforcement is he said, this has been going on for 4 years. He said, this is tough. He said, so this has been going on for 4 years. He said, I know my dad's not a bad person. He's like, I don't understand why he's been doing this to me. He's like, but I knew one day it would stop.
Heartbreaking.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. And it wouldn't have stopped if law enforcement had not gotten there. This young boy was hoping at some point his dad's just going to realize, this is wrong, and what I'm doing is wrong, and I'm going to stop. But in our reality, we understand that was never going to happen. The only way that was going to happen is for that victim to be removed from that situation. So these are things that are constantly happening. Now, the good news on that, obviously, he's rescued. The abuse is stopped. Father's in jail. Law enforcement sits down with us and asks us again to collaborate and to help them spin off from this original investigation all these people that are in this group, identifying a lot of these people are local people. We're able to identify them by phone number, by other things. So now our team right now is almost full-time assigned to assisting on doing follow-up on this case, identifying victims that are being added to the group, and going out and working with law enforcement, arresting other people that are part of the group that are participating. I think since that first case, which was, I think it was May of 2025, I think since then there's been 3 follow-up arrests, multiple boys rescued, all that were members of that group. Some of them are parents that were sexually abusing their own kids. One of them was a guy that was living next door to a Buddhist temple and was sexually abusing a lot of the young boys that were going to school there. But the collaboration is working. Law enforcement and NGOs are working together. We're able to provide them the software, a little bit of expertise and training, and make an impact and rescue kids and make arrests that would not have happened without that collaboration.
Wow. Has that guy's case been adjudicated?
No, he hasn't gone to trial yet. It's a pretty recent case. It's back in May. He is in jail because there's no bond for him. He's out of jail. The boy's been removed from the home. And I'm not. He's placed with some family members. I'm not sure which family members. Yeah, it's a tough. That was a tough one. Listening to that little boy.
Yeah.
Say that to the officers. Even at that age, he still had hope that at some point his dad was just gonna, figure it out.
Well, that just shows the innocence and the love that a child has for his parents, even when they abuse them like that. And to betray that love and that adoration, jeez, I could not do what you do.
It's tough sometimes. It's the end. For me, I've survived off of small victories, right? Like you said it earlier. At the end of the case, somebody gets rescued, somebody gets removed from there. For my work, I have to follow it. I have to keep going. I have to testify sometimes, but generally, I don't interact with victims. I don't follow. I get updates, and my team knows I want good news updates. But there's frustrating things through the process, even sometimes after the rescue, and I try to not be involved in that. It's not my area of expertise. I'm not good at talking to victims. I'm not good at talking to real people. I'm better behind the keyboard doing what I do, and I try to just stay focused on that.
We all have our calling, and thank God that you know what yours is, and you're dedicated to doing that. Do you see that case continuing to develop past? You said there's original arrest, and there's been 3 more. Is that going to keep going?
Yeah, 100%. On the third arrest, we're kind of bogged down there. On the third arrest, the third follow-up arrest, there were 19 separate victims. We did a victim ID report where 19 separate boys were identified. So we're in the process of 4 of them. So when we say identified, we know, in some of them we know who they are. We know their names, and law enforcement's contacting them. Other ones we don't know who they are. We have information that we're able to obtain through the forensics and things that we use to process the files, or maybe have GPS, so we know on the particular day, the particular time, at this exact location, this is where the abuse occurred. So with very little follow-up, we should be able to identify those victims. So obviously, we're working with law enforcement and some of the ministries of social workers and stuff to get those kids identified.
Are the pedophiles that you're dealing with in that particular case and the victims, are they all in the same country, or are they around the world?
There's a bit of a sprinkling of international. Most of them are. Most of these are in that particular group. The vast majority of them, and we see a lot of that, and it's for various reasons. This guy's obviously his motivation was money. Certainly a victim of the economy. COVID hit hard here, as it did everywhere else. Not that that's any excuse to do these horrible things that these people are doing, but we see. We see all of them.
I didn't ask on the case that we talked about yesterday. Were there spinoff cases from that one?
So there were none in the country. I think there were 23 different countries represented in the group. A lot of those were really active participants in sharing content and made comments about obviously being pedophiles and victimizing children in their home countries. One of those countries was the U.S. There was a few offenders in the U.S. That we handed off to the FBI and HSI to do follow-up on. I haven't followed that. I don't know what that resulted in. And then the other ones where there was some CSAM identified that had GPS and other things that could lead to the identification of victims and offenders that was provided to Interpol to reach out and make contact with those countries.
Wow. Fantastic. So you mentioned the United States there. I read stats, and we're the largest consumer country in the world of illegal narcotics, but I understand we're also the largest country in the world of perverts. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, we're a big country, right? We have a lot of people, but it's always been a problem. It's never been hard to find offenders working on exploitation cases with cyber tips, through cyber tips and other things. Speaking of cyber tips, real quick, I just wanted to say I saw a recent stat. I mean, cyber tips are extremely helpful. There's 20-something million a year that go out. Those numbers are starting to go down. And I just wanted to speak on that very quickly, that that's not good news. The numbers are going down, that's true, but the reason the numbers are going down is because a lot of the platforms are now encrypting communications and making it very difficult for law enforcement, not only law enforcement, for a lot of these automated systems to pick up on particular behaviors and illegal activity. So I don't want there to be a false sense of security if you're paying attention to these things and you hear, NICMIC cyber tips are down on child exploitation. Don't feel like that things are improving. They're not. It's a technological issue.
I was looking at some of the statistics here as preparing for our discussion and also while you're talking here. And I live in Orlando, Florida, and under United States statistics, Florida is the first one to pop up.
Really?
And it says a 2024 report released in July 25 estimated that over 500,000 people were exploited in labor trafficking and 200,000 in sex trafficking within Florida in the past year, with minors making up a significant portion of the victims.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So you have labor trafficking, right? Then you have human trafficking, and we see a lot of that here. A lot of the areas here where there's a high number of labor trafficking, maybe on illegal, or not illegal, but large-scale fishing operations. So you'll have ports where all the fishermen come in. These are fishermen that are being trafficked, labor trafficked. They're out for months at a time, little food, little contact. They come in to port, and they're in port for 2 or 3 days, right? Well, what's in port waiting for them? Human traffickers are bringing girls to the port to service these people who have been trafficked labor-wise. So when they come in, you have these men that only have a few days and have been out on a boat, and they got very little money, that are, these traffickers are providing sexual services for that large-scale numbers of prostitutes. And a large majority of those prostitutes are minors, which are human trafficking victims, and even some of the majors who are overage are 100% trafficked victims that are being brought there to service labor trafficking. So where you see a large number of labor trafficking, it's very common to see also a large number of, or an increased amount of human trafficking.
It almost sounds like the old pirate days, doesn't it?
Man, I've been to some of these fishing villages, and I learned very quickly, when a white guy like me gets there, doors get closed, boom, 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 it's done. I mean, to work those types of localized high traffic areas, you need local investigators. You need locals.
Jeez. As you're talking, I'm just thinking that in the early 1980s, I went from being a city cop to a railroad cop, and I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. And there's an area in downtown Norfolk called Lambert's Point, and the railroad had their coal piers there where they'd load coal onto these international ships that were taking them to other countries. And it's $1 billion pier. The equipment there was state of the art back then. It was unbelievable to see it. And so they would station one of us there at nighttime. And it was amazing how many hookers you had to run off, because they'd get on those ships and stay on there for hours and come out with just pockets full of money. And they were pretty ingenious. Some of them would dress up like men. They knew they knew how the railroad workers dressed. Right. And so you'd see these girls try to dress in disguise with dirty coal dust on their clothes and things like that. But back then, I'm just thinking hookers. I was never thinking of sex trafficking.
I think anywhere you have prostitution, there's going to be a certain percentage of that's trafficking. We see a lot of that. I mean, it's in Southeast Asia. There's a lot of prostitution here. Not all prostitution is human trafficking, right? But certainly, there's always going to be a percentage of it, and it's based on various factors. It drives me crazy that I have to explain this to some people who are, even some law enforcement, that there's no such thing. I don't care where you're at. I don't care if prostitution is legal or illegal in that region. There's no such thing as underage prostitution. That's called human trafficking. It is not, even in legalized areas where prostitution is legal, a minor is not allowed to be engaging in sexual services. So it drives me crazy to hear that term, underage prostitution. It doesn't exist.
Well, it sounds like something that the media comes up with, not thinking about what they're saying.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this, you're seeing a screen slide pop up on the screen here about the National Human Trafficking Hotline here in the United States. The phone, if you're listening to this, there's an 800 number. It's 888-373-7888. Again, that's 888-373-7888. You can text 233-733 and reach the hotline. Again, the text number is 233-733. See, if you were on YouTube, you wouldn't have to have me repeat these numbers because you can see the placard here that's up on the screen. But it's just like people who are suffering from anxiety and stress and potential PTSD. You don't have to go it alone. There are people here that are standing by to help you. I'm amazed at what you folks are doing over there. I'm amazed that I don't know your three compatriots there. You mentioned one's from Australia, but I'm thinking here's 4 white guys over there and where you are in Malaysia that are just kicking butt and taking names. And it's encouraging to me to hear that law enforcement is taking it so serious, because you just think, we're so spoiled here in the United States. We think every other country in the world is a third world country, and it's not.
No,
there's a lot out there, but
no, I find it much more convenient actually to live in Southeast Asia. Just banking and regular social issues I find much more advanced. Yeah.
How does the public over there react? Are they supporters of taking these people down?
They are, yeah, 100%. Again, we're not focusing on commercial red light districts. These are, as you can tell by these case studies, these are very localized cases. These are obvious children that are being sexually abused, manipulated, groomed, trafficked. These are rough cases. These are tough cases. So yeah, generally it's the general public is very supportive of these types of cases, as well as law enforcement.
Again, we talked about this a little bit. I love the fact that you guys are being proactive on a lot of things that you're doing there, not just reactive. If somebody gives you a tip, does U.S. Homeland Security, do they come over there and participate with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they don't work directly with NGOs, or we haven't worked with them. But they're very active over here. They're responsive, so they receive complaints, I'm sure, through local police officers, through the embassy. I know that through the Bangkok embassy, they have dedicated FBI agents that work there, that work trafficking or any type of crime related to any type of, not only U.S. victim, but if there's information about a U.S. person over there offending, they'll assist law enforcement and investigating them. And yeah, very, very responsive, very reactive.
That's encouraging to hear, because I hear that from Tyler with HSI working at the Colombian National Police. Also, it's I tell you what, HSI's got it going on right now. They're the big dogs on the block. On your website, I see a section on your website where there are volunteer opportunities. How would somebody volunteer to support you guys other than financially?
Yeah, you can if you go to the website, click on that. You should send us an email. It should automatically populate. I think it's the email address is contact@protectall.org or info@protectall.org. That'll go directly to me or one of the other 3 founders. And it's really based on somebody's background. If you're good at fundraising, you're good at doing those types of things, kind of outreach, grassroots stuff, we can help you there. If you're interested in assisting more proactively, if you're interested in cyber crimes or becoming an investigator, based on your background, if you have experience doing that, we're always looking for that. So just really based off of somebody's background. But we get pretty consistently, we get contact where people want to assist and want to help, and there's always something to be done. There's a lot of admin, there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of things to be done. So volunteers, we're never going to turn them away.
So can they volunteer remotely?
Yeah, for sure. We have a couple of our founders live in the U.S. And stay there. That kind of help coordinate that, so that the time difference, kind of divvying up tasks, makes it a little bit more easier if you're in the same side of the world as somebody. So yeah, volunteering doesn't necessarily mean you have to deploy, you have to live overseas. There's a lot of work to be done in the U.S. and from behind your computer where you can assist.
So you guys are I should have asked this yesterday, I guess. Are you just focusing on cases there in Malaysia, or all around the world, the U.S., everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, all over Southeast Asia for sure. We have one full-time team here that's based in Bangkok right now we're supporting multiple law enforcement agencies in Thailand. But I do a lot. I've provided a lot of training in Africa. I do work with some investigators in Kenya that I have relationships with and assist and kind of consult on cases with. But I mean, if somebody comes to us, this is one of the great things I like about being a co-founder. If somebody comes to us with the lead and says, "Hey, I have a daughter or son or a niece or a nephew, or I saw something suspicious online and this is what it is," we can work cases wherever we want. It's our NGO, and we're never going to turn our back on a victim. If there's something we can do to help, we're going to do it. If it's something we need to, hey, we can't assist in this country. This country doesn't really allow us to be proactively working operations in that country. And sometimes that's the case. Then we'll provide technical support. We'll make sure they have the equipment or the software they need to work that case in that country. So yeah, worldwide. Our team is focused here, but I'm one of the founders. We can work wherever we want to, and wherever there's a victim, we're gonna go.
Excellent. That's very encouraging to hear. I got to ask you somewhat of a personal question, because you've been doing this for a number of years now, and just like we see, some cases make me tear up, some cases make you tear up. Tyler was the same way. How do you deal with this mentally? Do you ever have issues where you need to get counseling? Do you have counselors available? Do you feel like you're suffering from anxiety, depression, PTSD, that kind of thing?
Yes, all of it. We do have counselors available. That's one of the things we offer our staff. There's so many per visits per month. I think that's covered. We don't make it mandatory. I had previous agencies that made it mandatory, and I found it a little bit disruptive. I have gone. I have reached a point. It was a few years back where I was having a hard time with the case. It was a big case. It was another child modeling case, but it was a huge CSAM distribution network, something like 2 million CSAM files that we helped sort and classify and identify. And this is new stuff, new CSAM. And just after months and months of going through it, I was just very irritable, and coworkers were like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I was really tired. All those warning signs you hear about. And so I did go and talk to somebody, and maybe it's just me. It didn't really. It's not that it didn't help me. Maybe I wasn't fully invested in it. I went to the visit. I talked with them. There didn't see a way. It didn't seem like there was a way for me to explain to them adequately, even what my job is. Like, I was going to have to take more time to explain just background stuff to them before we could ever. So I didn't go back. But since then, I've become, I think, very good at kind of compartmentalizing. Yeah, compartmentalizing things. When I'm not working, I'm not working. Now I'm out of the field. I'm not working as much as I was before doing UC. Now I'm mainly supervising our Bangkok team. Again, I do focus on small victories. The one good thing that I think every investigator should have that's working these types of cases is good coworkers. So when I get to that point, or when any of our employees or volunteers or anybody gets to the point where it starts to affect them, we notice it. I pay attention to the attitudes, the personalities of the people that I work with my coworkers. And again, there's been times where they've pulled me aside and said, "Maybe you need some time off." I don't need any time off. I got these cases. It's like, no, you need some time off, and you get sent home for a month, and that's okay. And when you have people that kind of check you on that, and that have your back, and I do the same for them, that makes all the difference. Since now I've surrounded myself with people that I don't just work with them. I really find them to be very dear friends. We're very personal with each other. That's been a huge difference for me.
Excellent.
Being able to step away.
I think that old-timey cop attitude might have a little bit to do with going to that counselor and thinking, "I don't need this. Why am I here?" We're idiots when we do that.
And I don't recommend it. I think my response, in my experience, is unique to me. I don't recommend it, but I think exactly what you said is very much true. Just walking in that door And now I'm going to sit and tell somebody that I've never met. It's just very uncomfortable, very foreign to me. And I just didn't give it the respect and the time that it probably needed. And if somebody's in that situation, I think they should.
Yeah. Have you ever considered writing a book?
Yes, I have. Actually, I have one that I have written. I'm shopping it around right now for a literary agent. It's a bit of it's an online safety book. It's about the dangers of online exploitation, kind of the technology and the mindset of the offenders behind it, and it's sprinkled in with some of my my previous cases that I worked that kind of lessons learned from them. Some of the things we've talked about today are in the book, and which I think was pretty therapeutic. I'm not a writer, I'm not an author, I've never written a book before. But when I started writing it, it just came out fast. Yeah.
There's a good friend of mine, Patrick O'Donnell, who has his own podcast. He's a retired sergeant from Milwaukee PD, canine officer, got arms on him about as big as my waist, big boy. And he writes a lot of books. He holds, I don't know if you call them symposiums for wannabe writers. A lot of potential authors will call and ask for his advice on how police would handle this or that. But, if you're ever, we did a joint podcast last night with a couple other retired DE agents about what's going on in Venezuela. But if you ever would like to reach out and touch base with him and pick his brain with questions about a book, I'm more than happy to put you in contact with him. He's a super guy.
That'd be great. I'm just understanding the whole literary agent thing in the query letters and all that. It's pretty unique. I thought you just write a book and then if it's any good, people will print it. And that's not how it works.
Everybody's writing a book nowadays. It's amazing.
And it's difficult, but no, it's therapeutic to write it. Whether it ever gets published or not, I don't care.
Yes,
it felt good to write it. But I'd love to connect with him. That'd be great.
You'll have to ask Tyler about his book because I think he's had it on his desktop for about 5 years. He said.
Yeah, he needs to get it out there.
Yeah, I agree. Especially the one you're talking about, which would help us parents know what to look for. And you gave us a good explanation a while ago.
Sure, that's what it is. It's kind of the insight into the mindset of the offenders, what they look for in victims, and then how they use that and manipulate them. And then there's lessons learned in there for parents as well. And it's an online safety book. It's not. The reason I wanted to write it is because there's a lot of online safety books, right? A lot of them are pamphlets or booklets or cartoons and they're for kids. This is not an online safety book for kids. This is an online safety book for parents and parenting and what to look for.
I love it. Our kids are all grown, and we've got 4 kids, but we have 5 granddaughters, and it just scares me to death. If I sit down and start thinking about some of the things I hear from guests here on the show, and I start thinking about my grandchildren, I get pretty upset about it. You can't imagine people abusing and taking advantage of children, and you really can't imagine parents doing that to their own children. It's just one of the sickest things I've ever heard.
Yeah. The days of stranger danger are over, right? Now it's danger. I mean, it's anybody. It could be a parent, it could be a teacher, a coach, a doctor. It doesn't matter. Danger's danger. We got to teach kids to recognize it based on what it is, not who it's coming from.
Yep, you're right. Well, you gave us a lot of things here in the last couple of days to look out. But is there any look out for to protect our families? But is there any last words of advice that you'd give for us on anything associated with human trafficking or just life in general, man? I mean, you've done some things in your life that most people will never do. And I mean, most people will never do. I wouldn't do what you're doing, and I've done some stupid things in my life. But we're always looking for words of advice and wisdom.
For me, it's related to parenting and kids. It's not getting easier. Technology-wise, it's not getting easier, and it's important for parents to understand that when it comes to protecting your kids, online or offline, it's up to you, right? We're protecting our own. There are online decency laws in the U.S. We're talking 96, 97. They're old, they're antiquated, they're skewed to benefit the online platforms. The online platforms are immune from anything posted by anybody. So if somebody posts something illegal on social media, the social media platforms, they're not obligated to find it, they're not obligated to remove it, and they're not held responsible for it. And that only makes things much, much, much worse. I'm online every single day. I'm online following leads from cyber tips and from other people. The vast majority of our cases come from the same social media that your kids are on every single day. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. It does not matter. What matters is that you talk to your kids and that your kids understand that not everybody online is a good person. That there are bad people out there, that bad people will trick them. That's what's most important. Monitor your kids' behaviors. Look at how your kids are behaving. If your kids are becoming addicted to social media or addicted to communicating with certain people online, those are red flags. You have to take action immediately. We went over it earlier. If somebody comes up to you and singles out your child, whether it's for athletic skill or musical ability or whatever it is, and they want to have more one-on-one time with your kid, those should be red flags. Be heightened parenting. So pay attention. Pay attention to your kids. Pay attention to their behaviors. Pay attention to the changes in their behaviors, and be involved not just in their offline lives. Be involved in their online lives. Be friends with them on their social media. Communicate with them on their social media. Look at who they're communicating with. If they've got 5,000 friends, they need to address that. No kid needs that many followers or friends.
This from, and we didn't tell you guys, and we're not going to talk about Chad's personal life, but he does have children himself. He's a father. And what I'm taking away from this is what I said earlier is, as a parent, we have to be involved. And even as a grandparent, my wife is very involved. I think she probably drives the granddaughters a little crazy sometimes, but it's because she cares. And she knows she helps me edit these episodes, and she'll listen to this and she'll try to relay some of these dangers to our children and to our daughter-in-law, son-in-law to just be aware of. Because not everybody in our family there's a lot of people in our family that think they live in utopia, that they think nothing's going to happen to them. It's just, I don't understand that because it's just a very naive position. But anyway, that's what it comes down to. So, Chad, brother, it's been a true experience here. I think I may have to go counseling myself after talking to you, but I enjoy talking to you. No, man, that's what it's all about, is bringing awareness. It's like I said, I'm not making the cases. You are. Whatever we can do to support you, the Game of Crimes will continue to support you guys at International Protection Alliance. All you got to do is let me know what it is we can do for you. I appreciate you reaching out to me again this year. It's perfect timing, and I'm expecting it again next year, if not sooner. Just so you're aware.
Yes. Oh, man, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. I love the podcast. I followed your career. It's an honor to talk to you. Just on the donation side, I just want to encourage people, if they do decide to donate, we're a small NGO. We have one active team right now that's based in Southeast Asia, and those donations go and directly fund, these types of operations. They fund and finance training for law enforcement. They provide and allow our investigators to work in the field with law enforcement, provide software and equipment for law enforcement. These are things that money goes directly to. And, we don't have a lot of overhead. We're small in nature, but we're making a big impact. And you said it earlier, every penny counts. So, if you're in that position and you're looking to make a donation, we'd be honored if you'd consider IPA.
Absolutely. And there will be a donation coming your way from the Game of Crimes, just to support you guys and what you're doing. You're heroes. There's no other word for it. And I was joking around on some of the other episodes that heroes don't wear capes. Well, that's true. They don't. You're just heard from a hero the last 2 days. So their website again is protectall.org. Go to that homepage, scroll down. I hit it one time and there's the donate button. If you want to volunteer, reach out to these guys and see if there's anything that you can do to help them. They've got a representative here in the United States. So I didn't realize that you could do things like that. I was kind of surprised to see that, to be quite honest with you. That's why I asked, what could a volunteer do to help you guys? They also have some training materials on here, some eye-opening training materials on here. And I understand your website is being revamped right now.
It is, right? Yeah. We're going to do a new relaunch. It's going to look totally different. It's kind of reorganize things, make it a little bit simpler to kind of navigate. And that should be coming soon. So if you go to the site and it's down, it won't be down for very long. Just while we make that transition, but we'll be up and running.
Excellent. If you're a parent or a grandparent, please go check it out. You've got a responsibility. I've got the responsibility. Corny to say this, but our children are our future, and they're the most precious things we have. So, having said all that, I got to stop before I start tearing up again here. Chad, thank you, brother. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for continuing to come on, and thank you for everything you do to protect people all around the world.
Thank you, Steve. No, it's been my pleasure, and I promise I'll reach out again soon. It won't be next January.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. And if you get to Orlando, you give me a shout. I don't know if you ever will, but if you do, you're welcome.
No, I promise. I'll do it.
All right. And all our listeners, folks, thank you again for coming back every week and continuing to support the Game of Crimes. I'd appreciate if you tell your friends, spread the word. Again, if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, please do. I really appreciate that. And if you didn't know, Game of Crimes also has a Patreon subscriber channel. You go to patreon.com/Game of Crimes and check it out there. We got some really serious topics over there, and we got some really stupid topics over there. You get early access to the audio portions of you'll get 4 days advance access to all of our podcasts that come out here on Game of Crimes. And right now we're even, several years ago when I had a co-host, Morgan was with me, Morgan Wright, he did an extremely in-depth interview with Javier and I on our careers and the Pablo Escobar investigation. Ended up in 12 1-hour or more episodes. Most comprehensive interview we've ever done. And I've posted those on Patreon. They come out, one episode comes out every 2 weeks or every 15 days. And we also did the same thing with Chris Feistel and Dave Mitchell, who were the two DEA case agents that took down the Cali cartel. So once we run through the Escobar, we'll put those out there. And there's actually 14 episodes on that one. Some of those you got to hear, boy, because if you understand the term taking one for the team, they almost had to take one for the team. If you want to know more about that, you're going to have to wait till it comes out. But God bless you, folks. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming back. I don't understand why you do, but I really do, because you enjoy playing the biggest, the baddest, the most dangerous game of all, and that's our Game of Crimes. God bless. We'll see everyone next week.